Hello to awesome movie nerd watchers. Elliot here to review Star Trek in the second part of our new dual review style. First of all, I just want to get out of the way. I'm sorry it's taken us so long to get to this. Abby, of course, saw the movie like opening night, and it just took me a little bit longer to see it because I've been in the midst of finals and stuff, and I wanted to get back and see the film with my brother because, you know, growing up in a household where he was the biggest Trekkie, of course, I have to pay homage to that, and so we decided to go see the film together, and we were both really blown away. We enjoyed ourselves immensely. So let's get under the review. First of all, Star Trek, mind-blowing. I was amazed. I mean, really, you know, you come to expect a certain level of quality from JJ Abrams, and then he meets it and exceeds it and takes things in completely surprising directions that you didn't even consider they could go in. And you know what? You paid your $6 or whatever it was to walk in the door, and he's just provided you with an amazing, entertaining experience. So he's definitely one of the prodigies of this medium, and I love him dearly, and everything he does nowadays is pretty much turned to gold, and this is only the most recent example of that. For the most part, I agree with Abby. Pretty much top to bottom, this was absolutely great. I mean, the only thing that I would disagree with her about is I thought the story was fine. I thought it was fairly easy to follow. I mean, it made you think, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, even in popcorn movies like Star Trek. And I saw the cameo that she's referring to, which I don't want to give away, because if you haven't seen it yet, you know, it'd be cheating for me to say it. I think everything adds. I think that completely adds, and I think it makes sense, and I don't think it's just going for appeasement of the fanboys out there who have been, you know, following the show since it first aired. Because I think those people are kind of begrudgingly enjoying this movie because they're purists and they don't want it to be, you know, sort of watered down in any way. But here we are, and it's an amazing film, and my brother even sent me an Onion article, I believe it was, that said, you know, the headline was, "Original Star Trek geeks begrudgingly concede that new movie is awesome," or something like that. And, you know, that's really quite the truth. So that was the plot. I really thought it was easy to follow, and I think it made sense, and I think it was a very interesting way to reboot the franchise. Now on to characters and actors. I think the characters here are really, really fleshed out. I think something where you have so much backstory and so much context and so much just like source material, raw source material, it's really, really hard to balance everything and to keep it fresh and to keep it unique. But this origin story of this entire crew is told in a very, very eloquent way, and it's done through acting that I think was really, really superb. I mean, you know, we've already mentioned Kirk was amazing, and we've talked about Harold being Sulu, which was also cool, and all that sort of thing. But I mean, there are some other unsung heroes here that I also think are really, really great. First of all, Anton Yelchin, who was in Charlie Bartlett, I thought he was an amazing Chekhov, like absolutely out of sight, like 17-year-old kid, boy genius, helping to fly the ship. Wonderful, and the beaming technology and all that sort of thing. He really held his own here with a much older cast, and I thought that was really, really cool. Another person, I should say, that I was really surprised that Abby did not mention was Simon Pegg, who blew me away as Scotty, Montgomery Scott, as it were, and I just was so utterly stunned by his performance. First of all, Scottish accent was dead on. Second of all, he added so much charm and warmth and humor to the film when it was kind of getting a little bit heavy, to balance everything out. And third, he's the star of Shaun of the Dead, so automatically Abby was probably freaking out because that's one of her favorite movies of all time. So I think, you know, especially through performances like Peg's and Quinto's and so on and so forth, where you can delve into the source material and find who the character is and then take a spin on it and just throw it up on the screen and make it look great, I think they deserve absolute props for that. I mean, really, you're taking something that is so utterly well established that there are people who have memorized season after season after season of dialogue and know every single episode backward and forward, and it's got to take a lot of courage to be able to step onto a soundstage, or I don't know if they shot on location in outer space. They could have. I mean, I'm sure the budget was big enough, but I think that they all did a tremendous job, with one exception. There's only one person that I was really, truly disappointed by in this movie, and that was Eric Bana. Bana, who plays Nero, a Romulan bad guy, villain, so on and so forth, just felt flat to me. It felt completely underwhelming, and in a cast so dominated by incomparable young talent that brings A game all across the board, it felt like he phoned it in. And for somebody who I've come to respect and whom I've come to, rely on for good performances in movies, I was just really disappointed. I mean, Bana is one of the great thespians out there. He knows how to do his thing, and he can make characters really, relatable or interesting. And this one just felt just carbon copy. It wasn't really interesting. It was like all those bad villains that we've dealt with before. And I don't think it was the source material. I think the story that they've written for Nero is interesting enough to warrant a little more, vigor out of him. Onto the direction. Like I said, JJ Abrams, brilliant. Completely and totally. But the visual style of this movie was just really, really thrilling to me. It wasn't completely over the top, amazing special effects shots all over the place. I love the fact that they, pay homage to the Star Trek origins and whatnot by making everything a little bit clunky. Like the bridge, as gorgeous as it is really not, as holographic centric and everything's floating and all that sort of thing. Like it's bricks and mortar kind of a structure, even though it's flying through outer space. And I just think that's really, really cool that they're not afraid to take their foot off the gas a little bit when it comes to special effects for the sake of being more authentic and more ground in what the reality of the situation would be. I just think that was great, because there would have been so many directors who would have just dumped millions and millions and millions of dollars into making sure that every single effect shot was like the moneymaker shot, and it would have bogged down the entire film, and it would have distracted us from everything. And that's not what we